Your alternative talk radio contact, The Planet, KGRAradio.com.
With infinite complaisance, people went to and fro the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space.
I've done some research over the years after these couple of things have happened, and there's some pretty weird incidents that I wasn't a part of, but that I've read about that kind of ties in with where these two incidents, they are not far apart.
Yeah, well, you brought it up at the end of your first incident in 2004, where you said there were horses mutilated?
Yes.
Like pretty badly, huh?
Yeah. I can tell you now, it happened at shift change. Shift change was at 7 a.m, and the call came in shortly before shift change, and our sheriff had already given me basically the black ball, and I went anyway, and I didn't get to see the horses up close. But the pictures that I saw, they tried to blame it on some type of cat. And I've seen how a bobcat, disposes of prey and everything. But these injuries and the way these horses were torn wasn't caused by sharp claws. Mm-hmm. And they were literally torn open.
So did it look to you like they were, in fact, just mutilated for the sport, or does it look like it was for food purposes, for whatever
it was for food? It was for food purposes. Mm. Yeah, it was for food purposes.
Pretty brutal, huh?
It was brutal. Yeah, it was very brutal.
Did it look like they had not only the lacerations, but like broken bones and things like that?
Broken bones, I really know, because when I was looking at the pictures, what legs weren't straight were bent at the proper joints and at the proper angles, so there were no broken.
Okay.
But where the one of them's head was twisted 180 degrees, like it had its neck broken.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not a cat.
That's not a cat.
No,
right.
They can't do that kind of a thing.
And there were no bite marks that would be indicative of canine or feline or even bear. Mm-hmm. We get an occasional bear, mm-hmm. and an occasional mountain lion. Contrary to what popular belief is, there are mountain lions in Georgia. That's another incident. I don't really consider them cryptid. I listen to the podcast about the jaguarundi. That's an 11-pound cat. What I saw was an 80-pound cat. My wife, my brother-in-law, and my sister-in-law saw it all at the same time.
Oh, really? So was it more the...
There's a panther, there's a mountain lion.
Yeah, the mountain lions, yeah.
Yeah, it was classic. We were riding four-wheelers going to the Flint River. Flint River is real big in our area, plus since we live so close to it. I don't want to give too specific detail. We call them mountains. This part of Georgia, it's really just hills, real good rocky hills. We don't have the classic, mountains in my part of the state. But where the portion where we were, the river over its period of life has cut a pretty good gorge through these hills, and we were on the downside, going down towards the river, and there's a flat portion where we always stop to take a break and stretch, because it's several miles ride. So we stopped, and four-wheelers were off, and we shut the four-wheelers off, and we're sitting. I hadn't got off mine yet. Nobody had gotten off of theirs yet. And movement caught my eye. I said, "Hey man, there's a deer. That ain't a deer. What the?" I was like, "What the hell is that?" And my brother-in-law, he stands up. He said, "Man, that's a cat." So I stood up, and everybody's standing up looking, and it's standing there perfectly still, almost sideways to us, looking at us, maybe 35 yards away.
Oh,
maybe
wow.
35 yards away, yeah. And it wasn't a juvenile. It was classic. It was your classic full size. I'm guessing, because I have large dogs, and I know my dogs weigh 55, 65 pounds, and this cat was bigger than my dog, so I'm guessing it was probably 80 pounds.
Oh my God.
Because it wasn't that much bigger than my dogs,
Right.
but it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't. There's no way it could have ever been mistaken for a mountain lion. I mean, for a bobcat.
Right. Isn't that so
tail.
humbling, just knowing that it's possible? That, and of course, like you said, they don't want to admit it because it would freak people out, and they'd stop going to the parks and paying the fees, and they need the money. I get that. But like that guy that got attacked while he was running and was able to kill it, it's terrifying, and it makes you wonder. I probably wouldn't be able to handle business like that guy did. I mean, that man is so freaking lucky that he was able to take that cat down. It's got to be slim chances that would actually happen to where you could get out of that fight. Right.
And we're not conditioned, to fight for life. I mean, we're as creatures. All my years of law enforcement, you do studies. The people who get scared and they react with, a punch or something, that's probably only 5% of the population.
Mm-hmm.
Not, the other 95% of us we jump, duck, run, whatever to get out of. We're dodging.
Yeah.
So, as a whole, we're more of a flight creature than a fight creature, and that's just our, as a species as a whole, that's just our nature. I mean, we haven't been conditioned. And a cat that size, it's a fight. And it's not a fight to. That's a fight for life. I mean, it's trying to eat.
Well, and that's why I think that the flight aspect is usually the proper response in most cases, because we're really just really fragile bags of goo. I mean, we're so fragile. Yeah. So, I mean, against something like that, you guys must have been like, you guys all seeing that over there?
No, actually, we were, it's one of those things. This is, my wife and I've been married 22 years, so that was, really, and at that time, I remember, I think I had one of the short, fat Nokia phones.
I remember those.
Wouldn't have had this is years ago.
Yeah.
And, but even before that, I thought my stepfather was trying to scare me. He showed me a Polaroid of a mountain lion. And he said, "This is the next road over, and they're here." And he told me, he said, "They're here. Just be careful when you're out hunting."
Yeah.
And I already knew we had bears, an occasional, bear. I'd seen a mother and some cubs before. I mean, it's no big deal. And I thought he was just trying to mess with me, because he had a real dry sense of humor, and he would just play stuff off forever, you know. And then finally, "Oh man, I'm just messing with you." No, he stood his ground to his grave. That he took that Polaroid picture, and this cat, the cat in this picture, stretched tip of nose to tail across this fella's driveway.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it was a lot. It was probably, we think that the one we saw was a female. It had the characteristic smaller, feminine head. This one had a real masculine tomcat jowls. And it was and it wasn't looking at the camera. It was looking at an angle toward the camera, but like it was looking at something if you're facing it to your left, because that's the way it was that's the way it was walking, and it was a monster. It was in the guy's driveway. That's
a well-fed kitty right there.
That's a big cat.
Yeah.
And that cat was probably 90. That cat was probably 95. Probably 95, 100 pounds.
He was eating good in the neighborhood, full on, just not missing a meal. People missing their pets.
And there's so much, and there's so much wildlife here, turkey. I mean, we've got an overabundance of turkey and deer. I mean, you don't see them you don't notice when a deer goes missing.
No. No, there's so many places to hide too in Georgia. Do you guys have a lot of cave systems out there, or any caves at all in Georgia?
I know where there are. It's funny you say that, but I know where there is one cave. I'm not going to give a location because we kind of protect it. We kind of protect it because there are Native American artifacts in the cave.
Oh, that's cool.
Nobody goes.
Don't give it away. But that is so cool.
We camp in the mouth of it. We don't go into it to disturb it, but we preserve it and camp at the mouth of it. And it's from the river. It's almost a straight up hike on a well, I say it's not well worn, but it's a very rocky path, and you don't want to be out of shape going up that path.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it stays safe then, because I love places like that, because it seems like if anybody gets a hold of anything, people they're a-holes and they destroy stuff. So yeah. Well,
and see, there are also from back in the I guess 30s and 40s, they're old boreholes for mica mining was real big here, and I mean, there's no telling what critter has decided to make one of the old abandoned. I mean, you can dang near stand up in them and walk in them, and there's no telling what kind of critter has decided to make that its home.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of caving, and one of my favorite books is The Descent. Who knows what's underground and in these caves. So, which a couple of things we may cover tonight.
They made a movie off. Yeah, they made a movie off of that book, didn't they? I thought so.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is for years I thought that movie was directly from the book, because the creatures in The Descent are, in fact, they're blind. They go off just their hearing sense, and they're carnivorous, and then people get stuck down there. The guy claims, I didn't know about the book. I'm like, there's no way. That's just so strange. That's so strange then, because the book is amazing. Of course, like most things, the book is much better than the movie. But okay, so we'll kind of rewind it here back to the beginning and let everybody know to an extent who you are, but you are going to remain anonymous for this show, and it is for a good reason. We are saying that you are in Georgia. These incidents took place in Georgia, and also that you were in law enforcement for a number of years. So, as much as you want to, tell people about you and what you did, and then we can jump into these encounters, which I'm very excited to hear about.
Well, I'm just your classic country farm raised. I grew up on chicken and cattle farm. We provided for ourselves, hunting, fishing. We had chicken houses, cows, pigs, horses. We've done it. Every aspect of that kind of farming I've done. I was a law enforcement officer for a couple of different agencies. Total time was right at 11 years. I say I'm retired. I'm not retired from a department, but I am vested with the state retirement system for police officers. You have to do a certain amount of time, and you can draw that when you reach your age. And so, but for all intensive purposes, I'm not retired from an agency. I'm a big sporting shooting sports guy. In some form or fashion, I've had a firearm in my hand since I was 3 years old. My dad introduced me young, taught me the right way. It's not the weapon, it's the shooting. 100%.
Right.
And I'm not going to get political, but that's just how we're raised here. Other than that, I mean, I'm a middle-aged father of a brand new 19-month-old boy, and he's the only child. I'll tell you, I'm 43 years old, and been married 22 years. We've never been able to have children, and God blessed us with my son.
Oh, congratulations!
And I sent you the email. I said, I don't believe in ghosts. I believe in demons. There's some rooted beliefs in why I said that, but there's no incidents that would make me say otherwise.
Right. And
as far as
after that portion, something that kind of grabbed me, because a lot of times when I talk to people that have encounters, some of these people have been looking at Bigfoot a lot of their lives, and they've been into it, and they believe in it, and this and that. But you did say that you never believed in not only just Bigfoot, but the werewolf creature, or dog man, whatever you want to call it. It was not on your radar. It was not something you even believed in. No,
and we're movie buffs. I love the horror films. I don't know if I can say names. I mean, tell me if I can. But to me, the new classic, werewolf type movies are the Underworld series. I like that style. I don't like the glittery vampires.
Oh, you don't like the sparkly vampires?
I don't like the sparkly. I want blood and I want blood and guts and shoot them up. Let's get it done, kind of thing. But
I always like the Anne Rice version more than the what's the lady's name that wrote the Twilight series? Yeah, I'm like, why the hell are they sparkling? They're glittering. They're ridiculous.
I guess my favorite vampire movie is the Dracula.
Bram Stoker.
Something Untold.
Oh, Bram Stoker. It's like Dracula Untold with
Dracula Untold. Yeah, that's closer to the original story of Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah. Yes.
It's weaved in. It's not 100%, of course, but that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's cool and it's interesting, but do I believe it? No. Right. I mean. And I say that somewhere along the line, these tales have to come from a root, But do I think it was just no? I don't. I just don't think. Do I think it could have been a demon? Oh yeah. But I mean, I'm not super spiritual by no means, but I know where my bread is buttered, and know who to believe in and who not to, and I do believe that demons can, possess, the right people and work their will. And could that have been the case? Yeah, that may have been where this came from. That's just my theory. It's a theory.
Is that worse to you than it being a flesh and blood creature? Would you rather it be one or the other?
Either way, honestly, truly, and I know this is going to sound so macho, and I'm not scared of it either way. I'm not scared of it either way because for me, I believe in what the Bible says Christ did for me, and I don't want to get super spiritual about anything. I want to tell, I'll tell you what happened to me, but I'm not here to relay a religious message by no means. Right. But I believe in what Christ did for me, and I believe that what He says in His book, stands here to pass in this life and the next. So.
Ever since having your new baby, I mean, with these events happening prior to that, has that changed your view on taking him camping someday or whatever?
No.
Okay.
No, and there again, you don't catch me away from. You don't catch me at home without a firearm. Right. I mean, I'm licensed. There's just not much. there's very little that scares me. I don't know. It's just, I don't know if it's training or if it's just, maybe I'm stupid. I don't know.
No, I don't think at all.
I'm not scared of it.
Well, I know I brought this up before, and I apologize to everybody. Sometimes I feel like such a broken record, but I recently finally got to watch that movie Free Solo, and I don't know if you've seen that, but well, he's the man that climbs these insane rock faces with no lines, right?
Yeah.
And we look at him and go, "You're effing crazy." Well,
right.
He did a scan of his brain, or they did a scan of his brain, actual doctors did, and his, I think it was the amygdala, it was, I believe, smaller than most other people's, so it's basically like the fear center, and so probably like self-preservation.
So maybe mine's the size
maybe
grain of a mustard seed.
Well, and that's not a bad thing per se, right? I mean, Alex now, and it, I mean, honestly, if we're being honest here, it may kill him someday because he doesn't have the fear. But I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying it just brought to mind the fact that I do think that some people just don't have an innate fear that many of the rest of us might have or should have or do have.
Right. And my rational thought may not be rational for other people, but my rational thought is I'm packing a weapon that's powerful enough to take down what I feel like is the biggest game in the area cleanly and humanely. Did I up that caliber when this happened? Oh, yes.
Yeah. Because we are saying that and everyone is like, will you guys just, they're yelling at me like, Shannon, shut up and let him tell the story, because because we're, air quotes time, the biggest game in the area, like you said. So now everyone's like chomping at the bit, like, damn it, woman, let him tell the story. So you have two.
Right.
And that's why I wanted to preface it with what you said about, well, like you said, I like to watch movies about that stuff, but I didn't believe in Bigfoot and Dogman and, werewolves, woof, or any of that stuff. So, okay, so I will let you start out here. We're going to go back to November 13th, 2004, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I was night shift supervisor in the county that I worked in. I'll say it's. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to say the name of the county.
No. Just let's leave all that out. It's really no big deal. Yeah. Don't worry about that.
In the county that I worked in, and if anybody who's listening is from the area, they'll figure it out real quick. I was on a highway that crosses the Flint River, where the Flint River joins the next county over. And if you follow the river south, it joins another county that my second incident happened in. I'm sitting approximately half a mile on my county side of the bridge and doing my paperwork, checking off my guys' paperwork, and I see headlights. The road goes across the bridge and it goes uphill. And I see headlights coming, so 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking, and it's Friday night. I want to say it was a Friday or a Saturday night. I just remember the date.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, okay, I got a drunk. I mean, and so I sitting there and I'm kind of getting my stuff ready. Well, lights never top the hill, and but I still see them. And after a period of time, the lights go out. So I sat there a few minutes. I said, okay, well, on that side's where the road to go under the bridge was. You had to go into that county, and then you could turn down the road to go under the bridge to the little area where you could launch canoes and stuff. So I said, all right, so it's teenagers or something. They're going over there. I'm just going to go run them out. So I turn my car around and I start going down the road, and I'm not sure the time frame that passed. I just know that I watched, I was doing my paperwork and I was glancing up in my rearview mirror looking for these headlights and waiting on this car to pass me, or vehicle to pass me, so I could, see the driving characteristics. And there's a woman and she's running. And when I say running, she's her hair is behind her. She's sprinting. She's full out. I don't know if she started sprinting beforehand or when she started sprinting that fast when she saw my car, my lights and everything. And she's sprinting and she's screaming at the top of her lungs. It's trying to get me. And that phrase, "it's trying to get me," is it kind of struck me right then. I was like, what? So, law enforcement, you keep your doors locked. You don't want anybody coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, you know the condition of the climate. And it's been that climate against law enforcement has been going down for years and years.
Right.
So, but out there it was a nice, cool night. It wasn't cold, but it was cool. I had my windows down. I was getting fresh air, doing my reports. So I can hear her screaming, "Help me, help me. It's trying to get me." She runs, I pull up almost to her. She runs to the car. She's trying to snatch the door off the frame. And I'm like, wait. I get out of the car and I'm like, wait, ma'am. I say, she's high. I'm thinking this woman is blitzed out of her mind on something, and I got her and I'm looking at her and I'm talking to her. I got my flashlight in her face and her response is she's looking down the road for whatever's after her. And I never saw anything. And I put her in the car. I put her in handcuffs. I put her in the car and I'm calling backup. My backup is, I don't know, they're still 10 or 15 minutes out. I give you, when in my email, I gave you approximate times. The date's correct.
Yes.
But it was 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and there's one little store on this road, and its parking lot is lighted, and so we go down there, and she's catching her breath, and she is perfectly coherent. And I said, okay, tell me, is this a boyfriend, or are y'all fighting? She said, no, I'm by myself. I was babysitting. Turns out she was 20 years old. She's got a married couple of friends, and she was doing them a favor for their anniversary, I believe it was. Let them have a night out. She was babysitting their kid or kids, and she was coming home, and she had a flat tire. She's trying to change the tire, and she drove a Ford F-150, and this was I'd say a mid-90s model, 94, 95, 96, something like that. Mm-hmm. And the tire on the trucks are underneath the bed, and you have to go right beside or right behind the tag with the crank to lower the tire.
Right.
She's under the truck trying to get the tire off the thing. She's already got it lowered. She's trying to get the tire off of it, and she said that something grabbed her leg and threw her down the embankment, which is the ditch, on the side of the road where the road that goes to the bridge, the little dirt path that you can drive down to under the bridge goes. And she climbed out, ran down, climbed out right at the bridge and was running across the bridge and just on my side of the bridge when I saw her. And I'm looking at her legs, and she's wearing pants, and I'm looking at her legs and her feet are scarred, scratched up, and come to find out, she did have some bruising marks that looked like the handprint of a large man. Oh, man. I wear a size 18 wedding ring. I got very big hands. This handprint, now this information is secondhand, and I saw a picture of it, but this handprint would be bigger than my hand, a good bit bigger than my hand. And you can clearly make out 3 digits and a thumb on her leg where it grabbed her. So I'm taking her back to her truck. Okay, we need to go back. We need to look at get your vehicle. I'll put your tire on. We get back to her truck. I don't remember I honestly and truly, I don't remember if it was a driver's side or a passenger. It was her passenger side door was open. Mm-hmm. The seats were torn, like open, not with a knife. It looked like somebody just busted them at the seams. And I went to the truck and I got her, or to my car, and I got her out. And I said, "Come up here and look at this." the truck was knocked off the jack, and it looked like somebody either ran and put their elbow into the bed of the truck, or this hand that grabbed her leg punched it. And she, her seats, the dashboard was knocked loose from its mounting brackets that holds it to the firewall.
And that takes a lot of force.
Total.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The dashboard, even the seats, I mean, like you said, the way that they were ripped up seemed very abnormal.
And she said, no, my truck is, the seats were cracked, but they weren't busted. And she's crying. She starts crying a little bit, and then she stops for a second. And I'm walking her back to the truck and calling a wrecker. But she stops me. She said, hang on. She said, I smell it. I can smell it. It's coming back. We need to go. So I got my shotgun out of its rack, laid it across my lap, and drove back to the store. About that time, my deputy that I had called for to come up there with me is on his way, and the tow truck driver is on his way. And he asked the tow truck driver when he says, what are y'all doing out here this time of night? And it was just the way he said it, like he knew something was up. But when she said that she could smell it, I've noticed that smell in that area at night before, and I just attributed it to skunks.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, you ride down through there and you see a skunk hitting the road occasionally or whatnot. I mean, we have them here. But it was when she said she could smell it, it was coming. I mean, of course, I'm, what are you smelling? And I smelled it, and it was like a weak skunk smell crossed with a wet dog. That whole thing. That's not all that happened, because when I turned the report in, the sheriff of that county made it very clear to me that that incident did not happen. And I got demoted and put on dayline. I got put on a daytime job, and because I was being too, I guess, nosy about it. I was going back out. Over a period of weeks, I was going back out there, and I was sitting and watching, and I wanted to know what I was looking for, or what I went around to. He's dead now, but there was an old black man that lived on the dirt road that was right before where I was parked. It's just a flat area on the side of the road, and there's a dirt road right down from there. And his yard is lit up like Christmas. He's got 3 yard lights in his yard, and that makes me curious. I want to know, okay, if people are acting like they know something's out here, and I'll get to why I say that in just a second. But if people act like they know something's out here, this guy knows. He's got his old shack lit up, and he's watching for them or keeping them away. And sure enough, he said, yeah. He said, we used to see it a lot. And I said, well, what is it? He said, I don't really know. He said, I don't really want to talk about it. That's all he said.
And he had lived out there a long time?
And that was his family's house. That was his grandmother's house. Yeah.
And he didn't want to talk about it.
And he said, I don't want to talk about it.
You got 3 big old floodlights, though.
Yep. Your standard, you see them, just the with the daylight sensitivity photo cell on top, where they come on at dark, mercury vapor lamps. And he had one they were perfectly situated where they could light all sides of his house up.
Oh, goodness.
I didn't get to ask many more questions. Of course, I went out there in the daylight to talk to him.
Yeah.
But, so...
Did he lose any... I'm sorry to interrupt. That gentleman, had he did you come up across any information that he lost any animals or anything like that? Or that he just didn't want to talk
wouldn't offer any. Yeah, he wouldn't offer any information. He said, he said, I said, I got a question. And I told him about the incidents, and he kind of he was shaking his head in acknowledgement. And, in law enforcement, you're trained, if somebody's telling you no, but they're shaking their head yes, it's a yes. If they're shaking their head no and they're telling you yes, it's a no.
Right.
Your body language will override your what's coming out of your mouth 99.9% of the time. He's shaking his head, yep. He said, yeah, we've been seeing stuff like that around here for years. Mm. He said, I really don't want to talk about it. He said, I appreciate if you leave.
He actually asked you to leave then. He really didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, he wasn't going to talk about it.
Okay, so going back to the obvious elephant in the room here was you being demoted and then put strictly on day shift. So that must have been a really, really big deal for you.
It was, and I was already on the hot seat because I didn't live in that county. Mm-hmm. And I was brought to that county because of a particular training that I have and that needed to be passed on because I'm a state and federal certified firearms instructor. And there's just some other stuff that goes along with that I really don't want to get into, that I was asked to pass on. And when that was passed on and the next guy got certified that lived in the county, I was pretty much, I knew it was coming.
You did?
Yeah.
How long did that take?
And that was just that was,
after the incident.
After the incident, It was about 6 or 8 weeks. It wasn't 2 months.
I mean, that's pretty damn quick considering the position that you had. It seems like something like that, it's something that maybe you could contest or it had to go through a whole lot of channels. It seems it's more like like the government, like it moves a little slowly, but that didn't move very slowly from the sounds of it. I
tried that. And there are still counties, especially in Georgia, where they take their I'm a constitutionally elected official to heart. Mm-hmm. This sheriff all but levies his own taxes. Mm. Yeah, so he's very adamant about what power he does have, and he's I'll say this: he's a good man, but he wants the citizens of that county working with the citizens of that county. He don't want outsider. And I'm an outsider. I was an outsider.
So something else in your email that you did say that's in relation to this, with you being demoted and everything. You said that there were other deputies that knew of a creature in the area. I mean, so then did they come across the same problem to where they were making reports? Or by that time, you were the mold and everyone's like, oh my God, well, don't talk about it. Don't write it down, for God's sake.
Well, the 2 deputies that I was told that knew about it lived in that county, or still live in that county. And I went to one of them. One of them was the deputy that come up there that same night.
Okay.
And he told me right then, he said, you write this down. If you saw anything, you saw a man riding a horse.
Oh, my God.
I said, do what? He said, trust me, you saw a man riding a horse. And that's what she saw, and it scared her. I said, well, what do we do about a truck? Vandals. Somebody lives on the dirt road.
Holy crap. He already knew. He already knew not to talk about it.
He already knew.
Oh, my goodness.
And another deputy, I went to him and asked him, and he looked at me and flat out, he said, I don't talk about it. He said, it's not up for discussion. I was like, come on, man. I mean, you got to give me something. He said, nah. He said, Sheriff, I have my head. You ain't hearing nothing from me. And then the deputy that was out there that night with me, he told me, he said, you need to, he didn't tell me where. I found out later that it happened in 1994 or 95. And there was another incident involving another deputy. A report was made. A man, I don't know a lot of details. You can't find a whole lot on it, but there was another report made, and because a man was coming up missing chickens. I mean, there was no signs of feathers. I mean, they were just being gone. So listen, now, well, the man kept saying, I've seen it. It's about 6'9", and it's taken my chickens. And we, well, I say we, I was in college at that time. He said, for the best of my recollection, he would call all the time, and he was he would become a nuisance caller. Well, there was an incident where a deputy, and his name is on the tip of my tongue, and I've heard him on another podcast, not yours, but another one. And he'll freely talk about it.
And he was in your area?
In my area 10 years before I was.
He's talking about Bigfoot or a dogman type creature?
He says it was a Bigfoot. And I don't know. I'm not going to speculate either way on this one. The next one, my next incident, we'll get to that. But anyhow, but he walks, the story goes, he walked into the sheriff at that time. This was a different sheriff, threw his badge after what happened to him, threw his badge on the desk and said he quit. He said, I quit.
Holy smokes.
And walked out. Yeah. He said, I ain't working here no more.
After what he saw.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know how true that is. Yeah. That's what, that from talking to others, that's what I was told. I know there is some truth to it because of what I found. I don't know how true it is that he quit immediately, or if it was led up that, because he didn't work for the county. He didn't live in the county either. He worked for the county.
So maybe they gave him some kind of an ultimatum or said, we're going to demote you, and he said, screw you, I quit, kind of a thing?
Yeah. That's more towards what I lean for, unless he had a close encounter, and I don't really recall if he did or not. I haven't, it's been so long since I looked at that, and honestly, truly, I haven't had time to go back and, Google's a wonderful tool. If I was comfortable giving more information, it could go right to it. You can, because you have it, but I just can't do it over,
Oh yeah, no. We'll still be in touch. It's no problem. We can do that later. Yeah. That's another jaw-dropping incident with, you guys work really hard to get where you are, and right. Like you said, you were a night shift supervisor, so you'd already put a lot of time in. You weren't looking to cause enough trouble and by the way, by doing your damn job to get demoted. Right. It
wasn't like I was calling somebody outside to come in and causing a lot of, I wasn't talking to news media. I was talking to people that live in the county.
Right.
I was talking to citizens and other law enforcement, and when I would talk to a citizen, I wouldn't be like, hey guys, I think there was a Bigfoot out here, and this is what happened. Do you know this is what happened to this truck. This girl was scared. Do you have any idea if who or what may have caused that? This is an official, right. It's an official law enforcement investigation. And that fella, he gave me the absolute cold shoulder and asked me to leave. Mm.
I would imagine.
I used to know his name. I can't remember it. But he's been dead for years now.
I was going to say, so that was back around 2004. So I wonder though if if he had kids and then went ahead and passed it down then to his kids, and if it's still,
I don't know. I haven't been out there since about 2009, and at that time the house was still there, and he had just died. So. I don't know now. That's 10 years ago, so I don't really know. And now this is a house that was probably built in the 1800s and was maintained well enough. It had rocks holding up the walls at the corners. This was an old,
right?
Yeah, it was an old home.
Do you live far from that area? Do you go back there for any reason?
As the crow flies, I live 5 miles, 6 miles.
That's it.
The Flint River, the Flint River, I'm a half a mile from it, from where I'm sitting on my front porch right now.
I mean, I wasn't expecting that. I thought, you'd say, I live an hour away or, 2 hours away. I mean, okay, so we already just, talked about the amygdala and everything, but I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know after the demotion thing, and then the other deputies, and then the man asking you to leave because he said it. Oh, yeah, well, it's been around and it comes around and I don't want to talk about it. Can you leave? You're only 5 miles from there. I mean, goodness gracious. So you've not, though, had any indication, obviously besides what we're talking about, what you emailed me about, at your home, in your backyard, so to speak, nothing.
No. I feel like my incident that happened in the next county down may have been tied to it. I don't know. I'm not, and I can't quite, because they happen so close together.
Okay, so how close are we talking?
This one was November 13th. The one when it occurred in the county down was December 28th, 26th, 28th, something. It would have been on a Saturday. I don't remember the exact date. I looked at a calendar. I said it had to be this date, and I thought I emailed you the date, but I may not have on that one.
And I only printed out that very last one. I apologize. So, okay.
That's fine. It's fine. It was same year.
Yeah.
A little over a month later.
Now, what about distance-wise, if you could guess? I mean, I know it's a different county, but I mean... I'm closer to it. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Line.
Like you said, it's just the imaginary line there, right? So a different county, but it's right there.
If you put the points on a map and drew a straight line, or it'd be just a slightly bent line.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're right in the middle of these two incidents.
I'm dead in the middle.
I wasn't expecting
really
that.
Really dead in the middle.
I wasn't expecting that. Oh my goodness.
And the common denominator that these two incidents have is this incident when I was a deputy, which I was a deputy in this other one, but I was just off.
Right.
This incident up here with the girl, you'd have to understand the layout of the land. There's nothing. There are very few houses. There's a wildlife management area on both ends of it, on both sides of me. There's a wildlife management area, and it's thousands of acres of nothing but woods. The one up here, the one where I was hunting. There's another wildlife management area not far from it that's thousands. It's like let's see. One's 4,000. I want to say one's 4,230 acres, and the other one's 2,300 acres. Yeah,
that's a lot of land, and so there's no hunting there as well.
You can hunt. Oh. You can hunt, but the one up here where the incident with the girl, where I was on duty, that one, you have to get drawn. They do what they call quota hunts, and you have to get drawn via a lottery system. Well, every year there's only a few that get drawn to actually be able to go there and deer hunt. And regardless, the areas that they have open for quail hunting and small game, you're not gonna track a squirrel 3 miles through the woods.
No,
not
quite worth it.
Right. I mean, you're going to stay close to the road. There's plenty of squirrels. Rabbit hunters, they're not going to let their dogs get way so far out there that I mean, it's a pain in the butt to get them up, to get them back in the truck.
Right.
It's not worth, especially when there are no roads going through either one of them. There's one road that goes through either of them. And, I mean, your quail hunters, your rabbit hunters, They may even allow coon hunting at night, certain times of year, and that they can have it. That's not going to happen. But
I was imagining a much more populated area, not densely, but at least some sporadic houses. So that is incredibly
from the store that was the store that was lit up. Now it's closed because it's so early in the morning, but from the store that had the lighted parking lot to, across the bridge, I can think of 8 houses, and that's miles. That's literally, you drive miles to get to count 8 houses. Now that's back then. Like I said, there may be more now.
Yeah.
But they're on the road. They're not, and there really aren't a lot of roads cutting off of that main highway either way. And the next town ain't really a town. It's just an unincorporated little named community.
Right.
And then you got, almost in the name. But then you got the other town down. I guess the next town down will be the county seat. It's really nothing but a courthouse square with 2 highways going through it. There's not even a red light. I live in the boondocks. I worked in the boondocks.
I would say so. I wasn't expecting it to be that quiet out there. So this gal was coming from one of these houses that happened to be out there not too far, and then she lived how far down the road?
She was coming from the little unincorporated named community. That's where her friends live, which was another.
Yeah.
Oh golly, that's another 7 or 8 miles from where her truck was. And then she lived in the next little named community, but don't even have a red light.
I was going to say, because
there's 2 stores, and she lived in this community.
Well, and you keep mentioning, the store with the lighted parking lot, and I think everyone needs to paint that picture in their head, because this is not a place, I'm assuming, that had street lights and that had,
right.
Like you said, there's barely any houses out there back then. So this was, it's probably pitch black out there.
Right. So this store has been there, oh gosh, probably since the 60s. It's an old store. It's a brick building. It's got modern pumps, but even back then you could pay at the pump with the card, if I remember correctly. Anyways, but that store is the only store for miles either way. So it's a very busy store, and this is how country this place is. The owner of the store gives his delivery guys, like his bread guy, has a key to the store to let himself in to deliver his bread.
That's awesome.
At 3 or 4 4 or 5 in the morning, before the store gets open. Store opens probably 6:30, closes at 10, 11 o'clock at night.
So this gal, did she say, could she provide any description whatsoever about the it that was chasing her and that grabbed her, which is terrifying, by the way?
She said all she saw was a big black flash, and it was snatched out from under the vehicle. I said, okay, was it a bear? She said, no, it grabbed me. I said, okay, let me see the teeth marks. And I say that I don't want to make it sound, I'm not trying to sensationalize anything. I haven't seen a lot of what I would call paranormal or cryptids or this is it. I'm not, but when you get to, it sparks, when you get to talking about it, things spark your memory.
Yes.
But like I said, I said, okay, I don't know if I thought it or I said, okay, let me see the bite marks. And I'm looking at her legs, or maybe I was looking at her legs. I know I made her pull up her pants leg. I'm seeing she scratched the hell and back. But at that time I couldn't see any bruising,
right.
Because of the, where it grabbed her. Like I said, I did see a picture later that looked like it was a very, very large hand.
What are the chances that picture got destroyed?
Highly possible.
Along with the report and everything else.
Oh yeah, I know the report. I know the report's not there. I know the report's gone. that's back when we didn't, back then we didn't do computer reports.
Right.
We didn't, we did everything by paper.
Right.
And it's gone. I know 100% for a fact that's gone. The only thing that remains of that is my memory and any memory of, those deputies, whether they're there or not, and that sheriff who is still the sheriff of that county.
I wonder if that young lady,
I know.
has told
I'm sure,
anyone.
I've only seen her. I've only seen her once since then, and it was.
Oh, you have.
Years. It was years later. It was years and years later.
I mean, where were you? Did you go, oh my God, that's that girl?
I was. That's exactly what I did. She did the same thing to me. She looked at me and
she recognized
her eyes
you.
got big. She recognized me. I look the same. I've had the same haircut, the same. I'm the same size, same haircut I've had for years.
So did she? I mean, so you said her eyes got wide. Did she just come up and say anything?
No, she didn't. I had my wife with me. It was before our son, of course, but had my wife with me, and she probably was. You know how it is. You see somebody out.
Right.
It's kind of, sometimes it can be awkward for a member of the opposite sex. I mean, and it would have been fine because I said, hey, look, because my wife knows about it. And when I told her I was going to talk to you, she said, you're actually going to tell somebody about this?
Oh. Well, and, I appreciate it, by the way.
No, and I was like, yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, I've listened to so much, all of it. I don't listen to just yours, and I'm not going to plug anybody else's.
No, I don't mind. I never mind that. I'm not like that at all. Yeah, you can. Yeah,
I memean, I listen to Graveyard Tales and Astonishing Legends, and you go into some depth, or you allow the people that you're talking to go into some depth. Astonishing Legends does too, but they kind of do their own. They'll do whatever their fact finding that they can too.
Right.
I'm sure you've probably looked up my areas to see. If you've had time, you probably looked up the area that I named, and there is a little some weird stuff that goes on down there occasionally.
Yeah, it's just so cool that what I didn't know and couldn't know and shouldn't. It's none of my business, but I didn't know that you lived right smack dab in the middle of these two. I was not expecting that.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
All
gracious.
my life.
I mean, don't you kind of wish that, and I totally get that, with members of the opposite sex, and she couldn't have known that your wife would have been fine with her coming up, but don't you kind of wish that maybe you could have just had, even 30 seconds with her, like, hey,
I do.
What do you...
I do. And when I go to that county, I have to travel through that county, and I'll stop occasionally. I look for her when I stop. There's a store I like to stop in up there, and I look for her, and I remember her name. I've even asked, hey, and last I heard, she was living in a major metropolitan area south of here.
Well, who can blame her? I mean,
nope, not me.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it sounded like she was maybe there. This happened in 2004. To remind everybody, it sounds like she was still around the area for quite some time. But my God, who doesn't?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't blame her for being like, you know what, a condo in the city sounds great. Being thrown down an embankment and knowing that it's not a man, it's not really probably a bear. Like, what the hell was it? I don't quite know. That's terrifying.
Yeah, it's like I said, I don't know what I mean. I didn't see anything there.
Right.
But,
all right. Well, let's get to this next one, because this one is also, I mean, and you purposely said, hey, I don't want to sit here typing all night, so I don't know, I think, quite as much as I did with this first one, and you said, hey, there's more details, so we'll get to that. But, this sounds like quite the nail biter.
I was visibly shaken. When I got home that night, when I finally made it home that night, and taking mine, it wasn't just me. I had a friend with me.
Mm-hmm. And he shall go unnamed too, right? We don't even, right. You can just say your friend.
I'm just going to call him, right, I'm just going to call him Dwight. It'll be easier. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call him Dwight. And, he saw it. All right. this one's a little more difficult to talk about. I mean, I don't get emotional or nothing, but it just, this was against me. This was against me. This was a personal attack on me. And we had a mutual friend whose family owned 900 plus acres in this county. And we pressured him. Hey man, please, we need, we want another place to go hunt. We've been down there helping them do a little stuff around this farm. It's a big cattle farm, and a lot of it's a wooded area. So the old man, which is our friend's relative, he y'all done enough around here. We'll let y'all hunt a little bit. I'll write you a permission slip. That way, game warden stops you. You're covered. So this whole thing actually started back in September of 2004. Our part on this property, the incident didn't occur until December. So we're doing all this work. Deer season comes in, and we had other places to hunt. So we're hunting there, but we're trying to get ready because we've been told we can go here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's scouting. We put out some game cameras. We're looking around. We're making sure. They told us it's either 957 or 987 acres, and we could hunt a portion on one side of the road. And when I say road, I say that term loosely. It's more like a fire break at the end, because the road just runs out. It dead ends in their property. We're making sure we're where we're supposed to be. We don't want to upset him. And he had this helper, he's all the time watching us, and we didn't mind, we talked to him. So our game cameras were strapped to the tree. We started them out with bungee straps, and we find a game camera a few feet or a few yards away, strap gone. So we started using ratchet straps and strapping them to the tree tight.
Now, I know what a ratchet strap is because, you guys, four-wheelers, and I also used to do the whole four-wheeler thing. Now, that is what, if someone doesn't know what that is, they are, I think it's nylon and
nylon webbing, like a seatbelt.
Very, very strong with the metal clasp. And that is what people on their trailers, they'll tie their Can-Ams down with those, the ratchet straps, or their four-wheelers down. Those are incredibly strong. I don't quite really know how you would break one of those unless you had some kind of a massive bolt cutter, something like that.
Well, back then, we're talking 2004, a cheap game camera was $200. That's a lot of money for a law enforcement officer.
Yeah. You guys are way underpaid, by the way. I'm just going to go ahead and say that right now. You guys, police officers and teachers, are ridiculously underpaid.
Yeah. So, we're nobody's supposed to, this property hadn't been hunted in close to 30 years. Nobody had been, this family has owned this property for more than a century. Their family goes back in this area back to the early 1800s.
Wow.
Early 1800s. And just out of curiosity, the old farmhouse was there. We painted the farmhouse. We painted it. We went inside. We, cleaned it up. And, he asked us to. Yeah, not a problem. Nobody lived in it. He just maintained it. When was the house built? He said like 1850 something, 1858, somewhere along there. Yeah, it's an old house, old house.
Let me ask you something about, because I just want to preface this, because, you said that no one has hunted there in, 30 years. It's a big deal. And think of, it's hard for people, maybe they don't know how big an acre is and how to, my family used to own a long, long time ago 100 acres out in Roseburg, Oregon. And it seemed like an endless amount of property, and it really was. It was massive. So you're talking about, what was it, 460 that you could hunt, but they own 900 or whatever. But no one had hunted there in 30 years. So what I'm getting at is, whatever may have been out there, we're going to say whatever, quotation marks, hadn't really seen a whole lot of folks or anything else besides what maybe they had been eating, right? I mean, this wasn't something, I mean, besides what they were doing for farming purposes and keep the livestock or the crops going or whatever they were doing, it's not like they were going on, 2-week hikes back to the, the back of the property and coming back or anything. There was no reason to do that, right?
No. I mean, he had a helper, this old man. And now, and take in mind, there's very few that actually live here anymore. It was this old man, his brother, which didn't really have a lot to do with the farm. The old man who actually the farm was in his name, one son and a grandson. Okay. So he wouldn't even let his own grandson hunt this property all these years.
Now, why is that, though? Do you know?
Grandson had his own set of problems, and that's all I'm going to say.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
Son wasn't interested in it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Last time, son's in his late 50s. Last time he was interested in hunting, he was the last person to hunt. I mean, so, and families spread out, especially in the education, this is a age, we're still in the age of education. It's stress. You're going to get out, you're going to get a degree, you're going to go on and do bigger and better things than I did. Farming is not a priority anymore. So this man and his helper were it. I mean, they were the only ones up until me and Dwight and this other young relative who moved back to the area for a short while, got us permission, got us in where we could get permission to hunt his property. So, nobody but those two men set foot on that property. And very rarely did the old man. It was the helper. He rode around checking fences once or twice a week. We're talking, there was, I don't know, a couple of 100 acres of cattle pasture. 100 acres is a huge piece of property, especially to be bare to the point where you can run and graze cattle on it. I mean, the deer, when we first started going out there, the deer would just stand there and look at you. They really were like, I ain't worried about them. They ain't gonna do nothing. They ain't gonna get out of the truck. We start having our game cameras, coming. We'd find them, be a few feet away from the tree. They had to look for them.
Mm-hmm.
So we put ratchets, 1-inch wide ratchet straps on them. Well, ratchet straps were getting torn off the tree, and it was busting it busted the housing on the game camera. I'm like, so my buddy Dwight, he said, we got a bear. And that's the only thing that could do is a bear. We have one picture, and I can't find it. I have beat up my filing cabinet back here trying to find that picture. Years ago I could go right to it, and I don't know what I did with it. You can see where the flash comes on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a black form, and it almost looks like a shoulder that comes down and it slopes off, but it's black.
How high up was it tied? Do you know? That's the thing. Game camera is only mounted about. If I'm 5'11", my chest is probably what, 3 foot 10 inches, 4 foot a few inches off the ground. So a black bear typically, especially in this area, doesn't get over 225, 250 pounds. Black bears aren't that big. I think a world record black bear is only 535 pounds, something like that. So, that's still too tall to see the shoulder of a black bear. I don't know if that makes sense. If a black bear's on all fours. Oh, yeah, 100%.
That's too tall.
Hopefully you come across it again. I'm sure now you're kind of like, what the heck? I knew where it was, and now it's gone.
Dwight had and I've tried to contact Dwight. We haven't really spoken and kept up with each other over the years. Dwight had, I was going to send it in for DNA testing, but he had strands. I'm not talking about 3 or 4 strands. I'm talking about wad of hair that was probably 4.5, 5 inches long.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
4 or 5 inches?
Yeah. 4 or 5 inches.
And you found this on one of the trees that on the tree
that where our last game camera was. It was on the tree.
No kidding. And Dwight had it.
Yeah. Dwight had it. He had it in a plastic bag. And I tried to convince him, and it was not human hair. I looked at him. I said, "Man, this is your daughter's hair." He said, "No, dude." And I looked. I said, "You're going to have to let me see it." It wasn't her hair. I mean, I wasn't there when he got it because he called me and said, "Man, our camera's gone again." I said, "Well, I ain't putting the more out. We're just going to scout it and hunt it."
Wow.
I said, "I see the bear." And I told him, I said, if I see the bear, I'll shoot it and we'll bear it with a backhoe.
Yeah, so he would go out there and you guys maybe each would go out there and check the cams and pull the cards to see what might be out there, right? That's right. The point of it.
Back then you didn't even pull cards. We couldn't afford the digital ones. They were $400 or $500 back then. We had 35 millimeter.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, we bought what we could afford, and digital cameras back then, man, they were extremely expensive.
Yeah,
No. But he called me, told me, "Man, that camera's gone." He said, "I can't find it." He said, "I looked." He said, "I got the strap. The strap is just mangled, and the strap was shredded. Like it wasn't just bit in half or snipped in half. It looked like he just purposely shredded it."
I mean, so at this point, are you still like, damn that bear? That bear is...
I'm thinking it's a bear.
Yeah,
this is
ruining
a bear.
Our stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And, but the thing is, there's 2 creeks that flow through on the side that we can hunt. All the time up and down the banks, all we ever saw was deer tracks, coyote, we never saw anything, out of the ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
Track-wise, we never saw anything out of the ordinary. I mean, we both spent our life in the woods. I mean, we know what we're looking for. So maybe knowing what we were looking for, we were overlooking. But that's just too late now to go back to see.
Yeah.
So we hunted a few times in the morning, but in the evening we would hunt elsewhere. And it got to where we just weren't seeing anything. We were seeing a lot of does. We were seeing a few, we saw a couple of nice bucks, and we're going to let them grow. And neither one of us really trophy hunters. I mean, neither one of us would shoot an animal just to put horns on a plaque in our living room. No, he had kids. I'm the only one who worked. So, I mean, I was feeding me and my wife. But when it come down to it, the rest of the time hunting is your peace. That I get out in the woods and that's my peace. I don't care if I see anything or not.
Yeah.
I just go and there have been times I never chamber around to be ready to shoot a deer. I just go and sit. We hunted before Christmas. We hunted one evening, and when you look back on it now, both of us had a conversation the first evening. He said, "Man, it's just weird out here." He said, "In the evening, it's weird out here. You don't hear anything. You don't hear so much as a bird chirp."
Mm.
And I told him, I said, something just ain't right. Maybe there's a reason people ain't hunted out here in 30 years.
And it was like that every time you guys went out there?
In the evening, nope. In the morning, it was fine. In the morning, you're fine. I mean, you see stuff. But in the evening, you couldn't hear so much as a cricket. But now, we only hunted one time in the evening before this incident.
Mm-hmm.
We went through Christmas, and it was the following weekend after. Yeah, it was the following weekend after Christmas. Went out there, and it was kind of a rush deal. We were getting started late. Yeah, he called me. I said, "Yeah, I'll run down there with you stuff. Pick me up." So he picked me up, we headed out, and we always had these little handheld Cobra walkie-talkies that had like a 2.5 mile range.
Mm-hmm.
And we got bored. We'd sit there and whisper to each other, and just talk to them. We were sitting there, and I don't know if he fell asleep or not, but I tried to get him on the radio, and all I could get back was static. So either he was that far away from me, or just something funky was going on with the radios. I don't know. And I was hunting in a new place. It was edge of a pine thicket. On one side there was a cattle pasture, and that bordered on the other side of the cattle pasture, that where it come up to a point where the pine thicket met, there was a hardwood bottom. So I'm sitting on like this cut road in between, on the corner where the pines meet the hardwoods. But I walked down a path to go through the pines, and the pines were just over my head. Well, I say just over, they're probably 2 foot over my head, down in the bottom. So you really couldn't see through them good there. But as you start walking back up, which is it was probably, I walked probably 3/4 of a mile, because he told us he didn't want 4-wheelers down there. So like a 3/4 of a mile walk down through this pine thicket. And I'm sitting there, and for 2 hours, nothing made a sound. Nothing. And I never saw a squirrel. A deer hunter will tell you, if you don't see deer, you're seeing squirrels. Uh-oh.
And you didn't see that either.
I thought I lost it. No, I didn't see a squirrel. Never. I don't even recall seeing a bird fly. There was nothing.
I mean, so, was there a point that you're kind of going, okay, this actually is kind
of weird.
Odd.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the whole time I'm sitting there, man, this is weird. This place is just strange. But I never felt like that in the morning. It was the few times we were out there in the evening scouting around, and the time before we hunted. And when you're sitting there and you're being still and you're being quiet, your brain has nothing to do but send thoughts through your head. It got dark, and the sky was clear. I remember it perfectly. I mean, the sky was clear. There wasn't a cloud in sight. The moon was coming up real late, and I don't remember what phase the moon was or nothing at all like that. But I was sitting there, and I said, all right, I'm the guy. I'd never use a flashlight. Go in the morning, coming out at night. I've never used a flashlight. There's nothing here really that can. Well, I thought there's nothing here that can. The snake, but not in December, not in November.
Right.
I'm not worried about them. So I've never used a flashlight. I didn't even have one on me. It was in the truck if we needed to track a deer, if we shot one. So I get up, and I'm walking up the path. It's coming out the same way I came in. And when I got off the path at the hardwoods and made my turn, come up through the pine thicket, when the pines got tall, they got tall in it. And there were a lot of low-hanging limbs, but the pines were well above my head, and I could see, it was tree trunk in my face, everywhere I looked. So I'm walking, and I thought what was an echo of footsteps, but it's in the leaves, and I'm walking on grass. I'm walking on. This is planted pines that were overplanted on an old cattle pasture. So there's nothing. There were no leaves. I'm hearing crunch. Every time I step, I thought it was like an echo.
Mm-hmm.
When I stopped, I stopped, and I was going to stop to use the radio to call him. I stopped, and I still hear footsteps. I hear about 3 steps, and I said, "Oh, wait a minute." And I said, "All right, Dwight, this ain't funny, brother. We got to go." And I said, "Don't play around." Nothing. I didn't hear nothing. I said, all right. So I hit the radio. He answered back. I said, hey, man, where you at? Because I was doing it to see if I could hear his radio echo. Well, he answered.
Right.
And I got chills. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. This is not a nice story.
He said, I'm at the truck. I said, where's the truck?
Oh, God.
He said, well, I'm on the other side. He said, I'm going to crank it up. I hear the truck crank up way over on the other side.
Oh,
I said,
no.
oh, my God. I said, and I got on the radio and I said, hurry up. He said, what's wrong? I said, I'm going quiet on the radio. I said, just hurry up. And I called the old man's name and I called his helper's name. I said, look, I said it out loud. I said, we're not doing anything wrong. I said, we're where you told us to be. I said, just come on out.
Oh.
Nothing. And,
right, because to you, you're like, who else could it be?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
So what I did, I took 3 quick steps. There was a delay when the other steps started.
Oh.
And the steps started and I stopped. And the steps went 2 or 3 and stopped.
Oh, God.
I don't know how whatever this is sees me, or if it's just going on smell,
right,
or hearing, or what. And I hear Dwight's truck coming, but he still hasn't made it to the path where the property divides, and which is I don't know mile wise how it is, but the road on the farm goes up and you turn and you go way down. He was way on the other side of what we call the swamp. And you're not walking over there short distance. And surely you're not going to walk straight line just for the terrain.
So you're kind of guessing he's 2 minutes out or a minute out or maybe longer?
It's longer. Because you're not going to drive 30 miles an hour on this road either. This is a farmer's, just a path that he follows every day, checking his fences basically.
Right.
So I took a few more steps and stopped, and I hear the steps again. All right. So I carry my rifle of choice is a .308 Winchester. So to give you, I don't know, anybody listening, to give you a perspective on what that is, it's a 30 caliber round, and it's what the military uses up to, and very rarely 1,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
1,000 yards is 10 football fields.
Yeah.
If you stack a football field end to end, it's 10 football fields. So this round that is my choice of round will cleanly dispatch a human being with a well-placed shot at 1,000 yards.
Wasn't that one of the longest sniper shots? Was like 1,000 yards? Something around there.
Carlos, I know Carlos Hathcock used a 30-06 I think it was a Winchester Model 70 is what, he still holds the record. It was a 30. Okay, so the .308 up to about 180 grain bullets has roughly the same power as a 30-06. It's just a more compact cartridge with a higher pressure rating, and to more efficiently push the projectile. So with that, I always carry a pistol. Where we hunt, there are pigs, and I don't know if you've ever run across a mad boar. They will tear you up. And a bolt action rifle is not enough. You have to have multiple rounds, especially if you get 2 or 3 pigs that are mad and they decide they want to come at you. A pig will hurt you in a hurry. So I carried at that time a 40 caliber Smith & Wesson Glock, full size Glock, model 2022. I think its capacity is 14 rounds, 14 or 15 with one in the punt, maybe. I don't remember. I haven't owned a Glock in years, so I don't remember. I know it was 13 or 14 or 14 and 15, one in the pipe. And I always carry one in the pipe. I sling my rifle to my back and I start walking and I get my pistol out and I put it with what one of my jobs was in law enforcement. There's a ready carry and it's up close to your chest so you can point shoot. You don't have to aim, you point shoot. I mean, I have no flashlight. I have nothing. My eyes are pretty adjusted. I can see feet, a few feet down the path either way. Really, I mean, but if I look up, I can see the sky, but it's dark. I take a few more steps and I stop. These footsteps get closer. I'm still listening and I hear his truck he turns on to a gravel portion and I hear him. That's where he can step on the gas and I hear him spinning and he's coming. At this time, he's probably 2 minutes from me. I took a few steps and stopped and then I hear a growl. It was not a dog. It wasn't a pig. It wasn't a bear. I know what they sound like. This was rattle in your chest, really very low. And the growl said, "Leave." I mean, at this point, I'm done. I turn with my back I'm facing the way I come and I'm slowly walking backwards and I hear steps.
Still following you now, going out.
Yeah. And I hear the steps go across the path. And when I realize how close it is, I emptied my pistol into the path. I can't see. In the flash of the pistol, the first 2 shots, I could see a form in the flash, and it was going to my left across the path. I don't know what it was. I know in that very fast instant, now when I say I emptied the pistol, I always carry one and an extra mag. I reloaded. I reloaded, and I'm backing up, and I'm thinking, rifle, pistol. And I said, no, pistol. I'm to the point where I'm ready to spray and pray. I hear the steps again. This time they're fast, and it's coming up the side of the path to me, and I'm yelling at it. I'm stop now, stop. I'm going to shoot again. I shot 5 rounds, and I hear it holler. It was like a howl, but it wasn't a high pitched. And it wasn't a groan. It was a howl. I don't know how to describe it. I've never heard anything else like it. Not in a movie, not anything. I hit it. When I heard the howl, right where I heard it, I fired the rest of the rounds out of the pistol. I shoved the pistol in my pocket and got my rifle. And he hears me. Dwight hears me, and he's coming. I mean, the truck's revved up. He's coming, and he's bouncing down the path that I'm walking on. And I've got my back to him, and then I'm lit up. The headlights light me up, and I'm silhouetted. So I jump to the side, the other side from where this creature is. I jump to the other side of the path, turn, and I bolt to the truck. Dwight is standing outside his outside the driver's door. He has his rifle laid on top of his window. Now, Dwight's a tall man. Dwight's 6'4". He's very tall, very muscular. He was an athlete, very good shape, one of the strongest men I've ever known. He's leveled off and he's looking through his scope. And I said, what? I'm hollering at him, what? He said, there it is. I said, what is it? He said, hell, I don't know. And he shoots. It hollers again. And it's gone. Never saw it. I never saw his shot. He said, excuse me. I almost dropped the F-bomb. He said, get the F in the truck. We got to get the hell out of here. So he's flying backwards up this path where he came, When he gets to the road, he swings the nose of the truck in the direction that we need to go. He ain't spoke. And he looks at me, he calls my name, he said, what was that? And I said, I don't know, but it's after me. He said, that wasn't no effing bear. I said, no shit. What was it?
Yeah. Yeah, no shit. Okay. Oh my God. That's why I'm kind of, especially now, hearing all the details. Oh, you live right down the road, especially closer to this place. How nice.
Yep.
You had your back turned towards the creature, right? And you're unloading on it. And then Dwight pulls up behind you.
No. Yeah, no, I had my back turned. I'm walking backwards, and I'm shooting toward the creature.
Right. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. Your back is towards the truck coming at you.
Right.
So you jumped out of the way a little bit. But Dwight and you, it was kind of on the way out of the path back into the woods, or, I mean, how much of this thing did you see? I mean, any details on that? Or, I mean, maybe your brain chose to block it out.
I saw enough. I saw enough. I guess I basically gave the escape. When I got in the truck, it was like time almost stood still, and I'm looking through. We're both looking through the windshield in the path of the headlights, just beyond where the headlights would light up.
Mm-hmm.
If this creature was standing any closer, you can see one eyeball, like a yellowish green glowing eyeball, and it's on the side of a tree, but you can see enough to know it's the glow of an eye, and it blinks, and you can see it move and duck down. He said, I can't, he said, I don't know what it is. And Dwight is 6 foot, he's 6'3", 6'4". This thing wasn't much taller than him. It wasn't 7 foot. If it was anything, it might have been 6'6". It wasn't, I could see enough of the side of it. I could see it did have the long hair.
Mm.
But it wasn't thick. It wasn't thickly covered. It was sparse. It's almost like you could see its skin under the hair. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It was almost like looking at a mangy dog where its hair is falling out.
On how much of it did it look like that?
Everything you could see. Everything you could see. I could see probably from mid-thigh down because of the height of the grass that it was standing in.
Okay.
And it's behind a pine tree, several pine trees. The way they're planted, they're in rows, and they were at an angle down and away from the path. They cut across the path, and if they come across the path, they would have been at an angle. If you're facing down the path the way I just came, they would have went down and away from me at an angle to my left. So this thing is down and away, and the way the pine trees, it was using two pine trees that it knew that our vision was mostly obstructed of it, but it was looking at us.
Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on which way you want to look at it, by the time Dwight pulls up in the truck, you move out of the way, he gets out of the truck, the headlights are lighting things up. Of course, it may have been already out of the like you said, the ray of the beams anyway, but it had crossed the quote-unquote service road, the maybe barely groomed road that you were on, and back into the timber, and now it's peeking out. But you had already hit it at that point somewhere. Yes. At least maybe, do you think twice or 3 times?
I hit it once. I know I hit it once, and Dwight hit it once with a Dwight.
Okay.
His caliber of choice is at that time, was a 300 Winchester Magnum, which is, yeah.
Good Lord.
That's, yeah. We both at this point in our lives, both of us have been hand loading our own ammunition for. I've been doing it for 28 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I got you an idea. I mean, I got my first kit for Christmas when I was just turned 16.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I don't care. They can deduce that and get my age. I don't care about that. So, but anyhow, but both of us have, you know, so we would buy guns and just, oh man, I want to reload for that, or I want to reload for this. I'm going to go buy one, and, you know, and we get the stuff and I don't like it. So I'm going to trade it for this one that I want.
Right.
His caliber of choice at the time was 300 Winchester Magnum, which military used at one point, and they may still actually use it to a degree. It's your round that they use to, well, its effective range for military purposes would be about 1,500 yards.
Yeah. That's,
you know, that's a long ways.
It's no joke. So did it in fact let out that scream that you mentioned?
The scream was, the scream, the howl, it was a little bit different, and you could tell it was different because that round is much more effective. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
You know it was hit with that round, and it felt it. I think that's the reason it didn't advance on us. Because it could have, the distance it was, if you think, headlights are going to shine 30 to 40 yards in front of you, and then they're at the ground. So this thing was just outside of that. It could have closed at its height if it had speed that we think that White and I had discussed later. It could have closed that if we weren't a threat.
Right.
It could have at least been on the truck, but it didn't die. That's the thing. Both of us. Now, mine was a spray and pray situation. The White said he had a clear shot at the chest, and both of us have shot competition. I'll give you an example. State of Georgia, he was the number 5 ranked cowboy action shooter in the state of Georgia at one time.
Cowboy action, that's the you take it out and it's the pump action, right? You have to, for each round.
It's 3 guns. It's 3 guns. It's a cowboy style revolver, which was usually like a Ruger Vaquero, and then it's a rifle and a shotgun.
Okay.
And it's a double barrel shotgun. We both used to shoot precision rifle competitions all over the state of Georgia. I mean, both of us, we were guys in that realm. We taught, and if I were to say my name, I know him. How did he miss? Same thing about the White. If I say his real name, if whatever's in his crosshairs dies.
But it sounds like you didn't miss. That's maybe
didn't miss.
Where we're wondering what the hell exactly happened, right?
Right.
What is his description of it? I mean, you guys are in the truck, and maybe it didn't happen that night, but did you guys talk later? And he's like, okay, well, let's compare notes here. What did you see? What did you see?
Both of us, we never really compared notes. One comment that he made is, he said, well, I know where I know where the hell the hair came from.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He had no doubt. He's like, well, that's where the hair came from.
He said, that's where the hair came from.
So.
And see, the picture that we've got, it's at night.
Right.
This thing we don't have anything during the day. But we only had the one. We had some phantom pictures at dusky hours that would just be a picture of nothing.
And you're like, well, what triggered it?
Right.
So you did mention that the hair on the body was quite sparse, and you could see the skin underneath, which I've heard before. So have you. So maybe then, are we thinking that this long? Because the hair that he found was very long, 4 to 5 inches. That's very long. Maybe it was head hair, or did you guys, either one of you, see? Besides the eye blinking, the yellow greenish eye, or, did you get any sense of the head or the face or anything?
The way, honestly, it happened so fast, and I don't want to sensationalize it. So I saw teeth. No, I didn't. I mean, I can't tell you what I saw. I mean, I can't say what it was. I don't know what it was.
Yeah. You just know it was damn big.
It was big. It was there. It wasn't 5 foot wide.
And it was aggressive.
Not by what I could tell, it wasn't 5 foot wide.
Right.
I could see it had arms. I couldn't see claws if it had claws.
Okay.
I could see it had arms, and it had a forward leaning posture. It looked like its left hand was propping itself, holding it onto the tree. And the tree, the first tree it was behind was probably, I don't know, I'd say not diameter, across would be 14 inches.
Okay.
This is in the mature pine section, not the freshly,
that's a big
last
tree.
3 or 4 year pine.
Yeah, that's a big tree. 14 across.
So I mean, this is a big mature. We call them phone poles. I mean, that's what they were growing for, was phone poles.
So did Dwight hit it just before it got behind that tree, or did he maybe get through the tree and it was like a shrapnel situation and got it? Do you know?
Nah, he said when he shot, he had a clear view.
Okay.
He had a 100. I said, man, I said, did you graze it? And we didn't speak until we got to the main road. It's a little podunk country road that's paved, the first real paved road that you come to, and which is an 8-minute, 10-minute ride. We didn't speak. I was listening. We were both breathing heavy. We were both. I know Dwight let out he said, what the hell? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, both of us were like, I don't know. When he said that, I don't know. We got to the road, and he stopped at the stop sign. I said, all right, man. I said, did you, that's when I asked him, I said, did you graze it? I said, because my first thing that came to my head was, we're going to go back and get the body.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hands down, we fixing to be rich. Whatever it was, hasn't been seen before. And I don't want to sound like some, if I'm a hick, I'm an educated hick. I put it like that, But I told him, I said, we'll come back in the morning and we'll track it down. We'll find the body.
Yeah.
I said, I said, we'll get it. And, we did that. We went back the next morning, 9 o'clock. We let the sun get up, and next morning we went back, and we were met by the man who owns the property, and his helper. And we were told to get our shit and get off his property.
Oh my God! Because they heard the shots, or what?
Don't know. Never gave a.
No way.
He said, that's his exact words. He said, get your shit and get out of here and don't ever come back. He said, you got till 12 o'clock.
What?
Yep. And then his helper said, we'll keep you. He said, I'll keep you. He said, how did he put it? He said, I'm going to stay with you. Make sure nothing happens to you.
No way.
Yes, ma'am.
And he did. He went with you like a chaperone. He said, I'll make sure nothing.
He followed us. We had
armed. He went armed, with something.
No. It was like, just because he was with us, we were okay. But if he wasn't with us, we were. Yeah, I haven't. I can't explain it.
But was it like he didn't trust you guys, or he needed to protect you?
He wouldn't talk to us.
Oh. What the hell is that?
I don't know.
That is interesting.
Yes. We got there the next morning. We pulled up the groomed dirt road that leads up to the farm. There's a gate. You turn in that gate, and that's where all the little paths, the couple of offshoots to go. Mm-hmm. They were sitting at the gate. It's like they knew we were coming.
I mean, okay, so how far from the farmer's house was the place that you had to unload the ammunition?
I don't know where he lives. Never been to his house. Oh. Not where he lays down and goes. Not where he.
Okay. I got you.
Never went to where he laid his head down. I know where the old farmhouse is, and from there, we were still maybe half a mile down the groomed road. It's on the other side of it sits on the side of the property that we couldn't hunt.
See, but you guys were out there hunting, so obviously when you're hunting, a firearm has to be discharged to kill a deer or, whatever you happen to be out there hunting. So it wasn't the shots. I mean, had they already gone out to where, so they're like, oh, shots fired, and they went up and maybe they found something that you shot? I mean, I don't know. That's a crazy theory, but
that's why that would be this man at this time was in his 70s. His helper was in his 50s.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
The helper, he's in good shape. The old man, no. He had a tough time getting in and out of his truck.
He wasn't going out there. So what the hell was that? How? I mean, that's just, it's twofold, because the farmer's like, get your shit and get out of here. And then the helper's like, well, I have to chaperone, so you'll be safe. You're like, yep. What?
Yep. And I tried to contact Dwight. I wanted to do a 3-way. And I haven't talked to Dwight in 5 years.
Yeah, I wonder what he would say about all this. This story here is something else, because like I mentioned earlier, to preface it for everyone, that you had left out some details, because who wants to sit and type a whole rash of shit to me when you're going to tell it to me? And I get that. And but I do like to be surprised. And this is very surprising, because none of that stuff about the farmer and the helper was in the email. So what the hell is that? Yeah. So Dwight, you haven't talked to him in years.
Right.
So after, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I mean,
no, it's fine. I just was saying, yes, 5 or 6 years now.
So, okay. So you're there now. A quick question though. They say, the farmer says, get your shit, get out. And you and the chaperone, you guys go. So get your shit means your trail cams, anything that you've paid for,
stands. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, did you guys go anywhere near that area that the shots were fired at this thing?
No. And I was, this area we were at was, we just really haven't looked at it in that. Kind of give you, it's so much property to cover. We were just we put up stands initially. We had 4 deer stands, two ladders and 2 box stands, which the box stands were just basically blinds, and you could fold them up and lay them in the bed of a long wheelbase full-size truck. We're in a freaking S10.
Yeah. I mean, holy shit, I didn't know this other stuff.
I was at work when I sent you the email, and the work that I do now has nothing to do with law enforcement. Times a day, and I happened to be caught up with everything when I was able to type basically that rough draft. And I was like, there's too much. There's too much.
Yeah.
And then a lot of me says, the reason I've never told anybody, I told my wife, I think I tried to tell my dad. And, who will believe you?
Right.
I know what I saw was real. But what I saw, I can't. I can't say, and I'm kind of uncomfortable with what I want to call it. I want to say it was a dog man. What I saw did not look like your typical primate, like what you would see described as a Bigfoot. It didn't look like that. It just did not have that.
So what makes you say that? Like the shape of it, or the way that it moved?
The shape, its demeanor. It's the way, its demeanor, and the noise that it made. The noise just.
It didn't give a shit.
If I were to hear that right now, I would shit my pants.
Yeah. Okay, so.
I mean.
and I don't want to let this point get away. And it's more of like a nice, dramatic closing statement, but half the time I forget to say it. And I don't want to forget to say this, but, at the end of one of your emails here, you said that the sound, it made haunt me, and you wake up in sweats when you dream about it.
Yep, I still dream about it. I mean, there's times I still hunt, I still fish, and there's times I'm going into, especially the new woods. If I get invited to somebody's place, I've got a flashlight on me. Now, I fully subscribe now to the big, powerful, 500, 600, 700 lumen.
You don't leave it in the truck anymore?
No. My mom thinks I'm crazy because out here where we live, we have 7 acres, and my mom lives in the house through the woods in front of me.
Oh, that's nice.
The driveway's almost a quarter of a mile long,
right?
And I walk around. I know what's out here. I've been out here long enough. I'll walk around these woods without, not in the summertime because of snakes, but I'll walk around out here without a flashlight. When I go somewhere I've never been, or I've only been, that flashlight is on, and all senses are peaked.
I know that you have heard other podcasts, and so have I, including the people that I've spoken to for my own. But, and like you said, you don't know for sure. It just seemed like something different. And I'll give a lot of credit to you because you didn't say, I've seen there was a Bigfoot thing and then a Dogman thing, and here it is. You put no labels on anything. You don't know. And I appreciate that, and I think more people need to say that. But I will say that, especially, reading through it, I had a little heads up before we spoke, but now hearing you speak about this second incident, the whole stalking thing, after me, like talking to that judge from Ohio, that thing bursting out of the corn after stalking him. And the whole Dogman thing, they seem very aggressive. And it does seem so much more aggressive than most, I will say, not all, but most of the Bigfoot encounters that we hear. I don't think it's impossible that it was a Bigfoot or something else, God knows what, but it does sound like something more similar to, a Dogman encounter.
And it does. And I can't say that I can't say that I saw ears or an ear, or I know I saw an arm, and it was muscular. You could just tell it was very thick. What I could discern, because its skin and hair almost the color of pine bark. Or maybe like
really?
maybe like a damp pine bark, not dry gray.
Right. So the darker.
But the darker, yes. And so but we found, and I don't know how much time you want to keep going. Do you want to wrap up? There's more.
Oh, please go ahead. Yeah, I had no idea.
In our searching around on this farm and looking for places to hunt, there was a weird there was a weird land formation. It's like somebody was started to cut out a lake, and were building up a dam because it faced a creek. But when you got to that area, there were, we call it the bowl. We called it the bowl. That was the area we said we weren't going to go to, because when we got there, there were bones, and they were cattle bones, they were cattle skulls, but there were bones for, you just couldn't take a step in this bowl without stepping on bones. And back in September, October, the helper, the man that's the helper, he would, it was like a daily occurrence for 2 weeks that he was dragging a cow to this bowl. It was like where they just drug the dead ones to. And so we wanted to coyote hunt, but you coyote hunt at night. He said, nah, we don't really want you out here at night. That was another, he said, but we didn't, evening hunting, you're coming out at, 30 minutes after sunset is the end of legal shooting hours. So we're leaving at that time.
Right.
But the coyote hunt, to come sit over a cow carcass to coyote hunt, you're 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
So he said, and because we mentioned, oh man, we're going to come out here tonight. We're going to set up for coyotes. He said, nah, we don't want nobody out here at night. And that's how he said it. I don't want nobody out here at night. We wound up on the other side of the road. We got across that path there, and we got to thinking, we're on the other side. We need to go back. But the relative that was with us, the nephew, he says, no, you're good. Come on, we'll go over here. He said, I'll take care of him if he says anything. So we go, and there's this lake. Built on this lake is this old cabin. And there's not even power to this cabin. But it's got these huge bolts on the doors. There's a front door and a side door. There's bars on the window, and there's these huge bolts on the door, like to lock it. But you can't see inside. We don't know what's inside. You could see a chimney, and it had maybe 6 windows, and all the windows were barred up. And it sat on this lake. And from where that cabin is to the bowl was only maybe 300 or 400 yards in a straight line. So, there's too much now looking back that says, and that's the reason I say dog man.
Yeah.
And I hate that. Because I never believed in it. I'm not sure that I still do. I don't, and it's hard to explain. Because I saw something. And just for quizzical information, I ran across years ago Google's a wonderful tool, but Google can lead you astray. I got to looking around and digging for stuff. And, I ran across the town that this farm is close to is Talbotton, Georgia. It's between Talbotton, Georgia and Pleasant Hill. And I don't mind saying that name. There's an old story about the werewolf girl of Talbot County. Which Talbotton is in Talbot County. Her last name is Burt or Burtz or Burke. B-U-R-T or B-U-R-T-S or B-U-R-K. I don't
werewolf
remember.
girl?
Werewolf Girl of Talbot County or Talbotton.
Oh, haven't heard of that one. Yeah, do share.
She, so this is back in the 1800s. Her mother or her father died or something. Mother came into money somehow or another. I don't remember. I'm going to give you basically what I can remember to be the tale. Mother came into money, ships her overseas to England or Ireland or somewhere to a school because she didn't want to spend the time to raise her daughter. Well, this one daughter comes back and she's just weird. She's acting weird. She's growing thick hair on her arms and on her face. And all the farmers around that area, which is, oh my gosh, it's I literally, where all this happened at is 1 square mile. I mean, it from where we were hunting.
Wow.
Yeah. Farmers are complaining, livestock's going missing, and they're finding livestock mutilated. Well, her mother notices that her daughter is taking these late night strolls, and she's gone. All right. So her mother goes, she's talking to doctors and all, and they said, well, somebody says, I know who can help you. And they said, oh, no, this man's crazy. Well, he comes to them because he got wind that they needed to talk to him. And he's supposedly this old drunk Irishman, I think, if I remember correctly. And he said, I can tell you, she's a werewolf. So they blow it off. Well, the incidence of animal and all this going missing is increasing. One night, her mom sees that she's gone, and these men are out on a hunting party, and they're looking for it. And they said they see the figure, looks like a wolf man walking on its hind legs with long arms and long hair, and they shoot it. She finds her daughter. She's out looking for her daughter. She finds her daughter. She's been shot in the arm, I believe it is.
Oh, shit.
And takes her daughter back to the house, gets her healed up, ships her off to some medical thing. And then several years later, she comes back home, and she apparently is better. She never married and never had children, and she's buried down here, less than probably 8 miles straight line from me.
No way.
Yeah. And the only thing that, if that's true, what if it's the same family that owns this farm? I mean, maybe it's my detective type of mindset, but I've ran all these scenarios, and that would be the only thing that makes sense. If there was any truth to that tale, what if it's the same family? The house fits the same time period. You know what I mean?
The werewolf girl. I haven't heard of that one. I'm going to look that up now.
There's a YouTube video that shows her headstone and everything.
And it was like Bert, B-U-R-T or something. B-E-R-T, family name. Yeah, family name. Ellie something Bert. Ellie Bert, okay.
Bert's.
I'll write that down.
E-L-L-I-E.
I mean, do you kind of sort of wish that you would have gotten a better look, excuse me, at what you were shooting at? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You do.
Yeah, I do. And the reason, when you're raised up like I do, Dad always said, you don't ever shoot at anything you're not clear of what you're shooting at. But man, when you give somebody or something ample opportunity to identify themselves, and they know you got a gun.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if I could have articulated fear of my life at that point.
Right.
For being the reason that I shot.
So we are going towards the path that this was and I hate the term dog man. I hate that term so much. Whatever the hell we want to label it, I think it needs a new name, but I can't come up with one, I guess, better than that, right? Because it walks on two legs like a man and, dog head and all that. I get it. But now we swing back to what you said kind of in the beginning, about the demons, and you don't believe in ghosts, but you believe in demons. So, however, if it was a demon, I mean, this might be another layer of things for another show, but, maybe you can harm a demon, but it did scream a couple of times because you guys shot it, right? So, I mean, does that? Yeah. So I want to get your thoughts on that. If it were a demon, then, I mean, would you have been able to get the shots off and injure it?
If it were a demon, okay, my faith being what it is, which for everybody who believes it's not where it should be anyways, but still, the prayers and the thoughts that were running through my mind, I mean, if it couldn't have touched me, it's because it's because, you know, there may have been a spiritual protection about me. I mean, that would be the only explanation.
So not just the bullet, you know, not just the
right.
the bigger rounds that you guys are shooting. Yeah.
Right. You know, I mean, the Bible, I do you care if I mention the Bible? I mean,
No.
I try to be respectful of everybody.
Of
I've never tried to force my beliefs off of anyone, but you know, the Bible makes it clear that when you feel like you're confronted, you know, you command, you know, devil or demon, get thee behind me in Jesus' name. Man, I couldn't tell you how many times I said that night.
Right. So what does that mean as far as,
you know,
if we're looking at a flesh and blood creature, why would they give a shit about that?
If you're looking at exactly why, you know, and I talk about my faith, and I'm sitting here, you know, I'm cussed. Nobody's perfect, so that's for me to answer for, not you, not anybody but me.
Or maybe maybe it came across two very good marksmen, which you admitted you guys are both avid hunters and marksmen, and you happen to be saying those things, and then you just you hit your target. You both did. So, but it's hard to know what worked. I mean, something worked, thank God, because it didn't get at you either way. So
either way, you can thread that both ways. You know, You know, I was given that skill for a reason.
Right.
You know, I've honed that skill.
Right.
You know.
That's interesting too, isn't it? Though, I mean, I've talked about this too. You had lightning strike. Really, well, you didn't see anything the first time, but that was, I mean, everybody's heard that now. It's a whole nother story. Fascinating, the thing being ripped up, the woman ripped under the truck down the embankment. But what happened here at this property is like lightning striking. So, you know, if you're going off of a lifetime of, you know, having a gun since you were 3 and your dad taught you right, and that's awesome. I'm totally on board with that. I mean, is that, you know, built up for that whole purpose of gearing you up for that fight with that, whatever the hell that was? I don't know.
Right. You know, I mean, if I feel like if it were a demon, then a bullet wouldn't have made it holler.
And that's what I was saying. It's kind of,
you know,
well, I don't think.
I feel like this was a flesh and blood creature that. Because there are things, demon or not, there's no, I guess for me, I don't want to try to explain. I don't want to. I mean,
right.
I don't know if that makes sense or not, but.
No. I actually, I respect that very much because, I mean, people have asked me that about my own encounter. I'm like, who am I to even try to label what that was? I don't know what that was. I just know it changed the way that I looked at things, you know? That's all I can tell you. But it's not like you guys were out there, you know, you're not dousing the bullets in holy water and saying prayers over them, right? So that's where exactly. So that's where you're like, well, there's a disconnect because you can put it over here, but then it's also over here. So it's okay to say, I don't know.
Yeah. And, you know, I didn't feel, I've been in the presence of people that made me feel the evil in the room that emanated off of them.
Yeah.
There's things in law enforcement. I have felt evil. This made me feel like I was prey.
Yeah. I mean, which is worse, right?
Yes, exactly. This made me feel like I was going to be the next meal. But when it growled and it I think I was sized up.
Yeah.
Before I finally just said, okay, enough's enough. I think I was sized up, and the growl, it wasn't clear, but the growl, it was so low, so deep, and it sounded like it said leave, and it drug out just leave. It wasn't.
Do you think that it was trying to see a growl, terrifying in and of itself, but was it looking for you? It was testing you, maybe. Do you think? Is this thing going to stand its ground, or is it going to get the hell out of my area? Do you think it was testing you? Like, is that the purpose?
Well, like I said, I was sized up to see how, if I were going to, I was sized up to see if I were going to cower down in fear and just crouch down and take it, or if I was going to fight. And they crouching down, and that's never been in my. Never been in my playbook.
I have another question for you. So,
okay,
you guys are out here in the middle of nowhere, hasn't been hunted in 30 years, and the owner's older and the caretaker's 50, and he's not out there hiking and doing all this other stuff. Because we've heard this before, I know you have too. If you and Dwight were like, let's just flip the coin. We're avid hikers, and we just want to go out here for a nice walk, Can we walk your property? And you've heard this before, right? And I know you have.
Right.
Don't take guns into the woods, because then you will see Sasquatch, or you will see because they know, or they know your intent somehow. And I'm not making fun of them. That's what they say. If you had no weapons, first of all, do you think you would have had that encounter? Second of all, if you had had the encounter, would have, had been aggressive and growled and all of this other stuff. I mean, it's all conjecture. I'm wondering, because you had the encounter, what do you think now about people that say that?
It's foolish to go. I'm sorry. It's foolish to go anywhere. You never know. I mean, take the guy that had to fight the mountain lion.
Yeah.
If he'd have had you're looking at an 80 to 100 pound cat. A 40 caliber Smith & Wesson's designed to take down anywhere. I mean, it can take down a 250 pound man. I mean, granted, it may take more than one shot,
right?
But he wouldn't have been. He might not have been injured. What if he'd had a child with him?
Oh, well, they go for the kids first, right? The guy that watched the kid get dragged off. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer, especially now that I have a child. No. You won't catch this guy.
But do you think that if you and Dwight were, just out there hiking, and you happen to cross, and if that thing, whatever it was right there, in the wood line, if you didn't have firearms, would it have made a difference? Or do you think that it still would have growled and been aggressive and shadowed you and all of that?
Like I said, I feel like I was sized up, and I feel like it probably knew what a weapon was, what a weapon looked like. And somehow it could see.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, I don't know how, but it saw it. And I guarantee you, it saw the pistol too. And if I hadn't had it, I might not be here talking to you.
Yeah. Oh, because you did in fact unload both magazines, correct? You went through one.
No, I went through one and I shot. I emptied first magazine and didn't hit anything. Second magazine, I shot 5. Yes, and
you shot 5.
Second
okay,
magazine,
out of 10.
I shot 5, hit it. Yep, shot 5, hit it, and then when I hit it and it hollered, howled, whatever. That's when I very quickly, in the same area, I was trying to put as many on that point as I could.
Yeah.
And I didn't hit it again. And then Dwight was, when I got to the truck, which was it really wasn't that far of a distance. And I say that because I was moving. And he's already got mine enough out. He can see it. He's propped up on the door, got a steady rest, point blank to the, well, not point blank, but, straight, clean.
Right. He knows what he's shooting at,
to the
where
chest.
to shoot.
He knows what he's doing. Yeah, exactly. And contrary, I've been to sniper school. I've been there, done that. Now I'm not talking about military. I'm talking about police counter sniper. So, which is a lot of the same stuff minus the concealment.
Right.
You don't shoot for the head. You at one point you do train for, if you do have to take a small target, you don't shoot for the head. There's a triangle of death. It's shoulder to shoulder to the point right below the sternum. That's where that's where you're going to put a man down if you have to, and you're a precision marksman.
I mean, you already said that phrase that I mentioned earlier about you wake up in sweats because of the sounds that it made. I mean, but you also said that you would like to either have a better view of it, or, you go back, you find the body, you knew what it was. So is that just, do you think that's just you, your personality? It's you needing to know.
That's me, because like I said at the beginning, not much scares me. This now, scared wouldn't be the word I would use to describe. If I were able to go back, scared wouldn't be the word I would use. The word I would use are the words I would be very aware and very prepared.
Yeah.
And
well, because you must have felt in a fight or flight situation.
Right.
And maybe you hadn't, I mean, even though you were a law enforcement officer, I'm sure you had maybe been in a couple of situations like that, right? But you were like, this is not good. I am in a serious situation. You're like, all you said to Dwight was basically, get your ass over here now.
Yeah.
Right? And he knew you were serious. He didn't hesitate. He's like,
oh yeah.
Oh dude, what are you talking about? He was there as soon as he could be.
See, at that point we had been close. If there was such a thing, finish each other's sentences.
Yeah.
We thought the same. We had so much in common, and he knew me well enough, and we'd been through some other stuff, and he knew it was not a joke. And he knew enough to know to come and be ready to shoot. I'll put it like that.
So before I let you go, there was one more thing that you said that, and there may be nothing to this except for the fact that, he just walked out of range. Do you think there's anything strange in the fact that you said that you did try to radio him at one point when it was quiet, because, you're talking back and forth, and there was only static back? I mean, was that just a miscalculation on his part, or do you feel like there was something else kind of going on there?
I almost feel like there was something else going on there. What it is, I don't know, because at the distance he was straight line, and there not being a major obstruction, no hill. Trees are a little bit of an obstruction, but even so, for that wattage of a radio at that range, drive time was long because you have to go up, out, and around. You can't just cut straight across. There's creeks and and no road coming straight to where I was at. There was no obstruction, and he didn't. And I asked him, you didn't hear me call the first time? Yeah, I came. No, I was trying to call you before.
Because you said that those walkie-talkies had a 2 to a 2.5 mile range. I mean, when you're walking through, in the bush, this is not like walking down your sidewalk in the city. That's a long trek, right? So that's kind of weird.
Right. And there's supposed to be two. You know, when you buy an item that says it has that range, that's ranges. That range is straight line. That's not up to Grandma's corner and down
right
easy street. You know, that's straight line. So it, you know, we were within that. We were within a mile and a half of each other.
See, and that's also something very strange to take into account with this whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm. I've run it all through my head.
Yeah.
Over these last years, all this time, and there comes a point where you try to forget about it. But I have this curious nature, and see, at work, I listen to this. I listen to these things, and I don't get details, but I'll catch bits and pieces, and I'll hear stuff, and I was like, man, that's too eerily familiar, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, and part of the reason I emailed you, I was like, she probably don't think I'm a stalker, or because I just sent you an email, said I have, you know, cryptids in Georgia. I've had a couple of experiences, basically what you wanted to hear about them.
No, I didn't think that at all. These are the stories this is the whole reason I do the show. And I haven't had an experience like most of the people, nearly all the people that I've had on. You know, I've only really had a handful and seen the one thing, but I mean, that's why I do the show. So no, wow, I did not know all the other details of the second story. And of course, the second story was the one that it was shorter in description in the email, but that was like the one I was like, oh my God, I know that is the one that's going to be the clincher. And it was, because there's all this other stuff I did not know about.
You know, there's, talk about waking up and hearing things at night. There's, over the years in law enforcement, I don't know if I tell you, if I were asleep in my chair, you couldn't touch me. I'd come up swinging. You know, there was a couple of instances before I worked at that agency that PTSD related, and not a diagnosis. I like to reserve PTSD for the military. Those guys deserve it. They've seen, you know, more stuff, but I've seen, you know, people that've been in the shoes that I've been in. We see our own people doing this stuff to ourselves.
Absolutely.
And, you know, so there is a degree of stuff that haunts you that just you can't shake. And the reason I contacted you was the night before I dreamed about that up there. I was like, I'm going to tell her. And the reason I called you is your voice makes me more at ease talking about it. I don't know why, but your voice makes me more at ease talking about it than the other guys I've listened to it. So,
thank you so much. And I don't take it lightly that anybody contacts me. So I thank you so much, and you said in your email, like one of the very early ones before we were able to actually touch base and schedule, you're like, I haven't really told anybody about this. And that, that means so much to me. I don't take that lightly. So thank you.
You're welcome. I enjoy your show a lot. I listen to yours. Yours is, when there's new out, yours is the first one I listen to.
Thank you so much. I'm still very humbled to hear that. I still can't believe that anyone still even listens to me, because I'm just this big, you know, nerd of all these things, just talking to people. I really do still feel like that. So I can't thank you enough. But if we could please stay in touch. And I'm still floored that you live so close to both of these locations.
I had no idea. In the thick of it.
I had no clue.
Yeah, I live right here in the thick of it. I'm not going anywhere. Both of my houses are paid for.
Yeah.
I'm
a big amen to that, right? I mean, goodness, especially this day and age, you got to hang on to that stuff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, but, and congrats to you and your wife on your son. That's an amazing blessing right there. And
yeah, I'm real glad you. I was nervous. I mean, because like I said, verbally I've told my wife. I mean, she knew when I hit the door, she knew something was wrong. And I told her, I said, just sit down for a minute. And Dwight was with me. He said, yeah, she's expecting something totally different. And she looked at me. She said, y'all aren't playing, are you? She said, this happened. And I threw my pistol on the table. I said, it's still empty.
And she, being you, she knows you don't empty a weapon right. So I didn't know that either. So Dwight came in with you to tell your wife of this incident.
Yep. And I took it, who's going to believe you? That's the thing. So if anything is taken away from you, for the other listeners is, guys, this is 100% real. It's nothing is fabricated. Nothing is fabricated. I don't know how else to put it. I mean,
do you think that you and Dwight, maybe certain things can bring people closer at the same time, push them away for whatever reason? Do you think that this was that reason?
No, not at all.
And you don't need to go into it, of course. I just was wondering.
I'm not. It's personal stuff on his end that affected his life. Didn't have nothing to do with me. It just drew him away.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
just
love him. I still love him. I still love him to death, like a brother to this day.
Yeah.
If he showed up in my driveway,
it'd be like no time passed, probably.
Yeah. Well, there's some other stuff, but he could sit on the front porch and we could have a talk.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love him, but I have to be sure of some other stuff before we're pal again.
Yeah. I guess it was good that he was there, though, with you. I mean, if you had another second, it would be someone that was a good shot was a good thing at that point.
Yes. Yeah, and, him coming and like I said, that thing sized me up. And I'm, you were talking about fight or flight, and I was either in law enforcement, you're trained to either advance the target, because most people don't know how to take an advancement of returning fire. But if you call what I did tactically, I was, whatever, because it wasn't tactical at all. What I did was, I'm getting to the truck as quick as I can. And I'm going to shoot my way back to the truck.
Right. So it was actually fight and flight at the same time.
Yeah, it was fight and flight.
You had to do that. Yeah.
Right. Because and seeing it at the end, seeing the portion of it I saw at the end, there's no way I'd want to fight that hand to hand. I couldn't.
So you said earlier, just before I let you go, you wish you got a better view of it. However, and especially now that I know that you live so close to this area, do you want to see it again? Would you like to see it in your backyard in the daytime, kind of step out of the wood line and you're like, that was you. You SOB, that was you.
It'd have to be on my terms.
Right.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I guess if it showed up, just say like I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be funny, but if it showed up and say, "Hey, look, it isn't what you thought," or I really just wanted you to leave, I might say I'm sorry too for shooting you. What else could I say?
Right.
But if it showed up thinking it's fixing to hurt something here, there's a world of pain inside the four walls of this house.
Yeah. Well, especially after what you already had gone through.
Right.
Oh, if you guys had gotten back to that spot. Do you ever kind of wish that you had said, hey, we have a trail cam over here in this area over yonder there, and kind of maybe made your way over there? Do you wish you had kind of, or would he have known, like, you didn't set any cams up there?
I see, if he knew, he would have known, because we hadn't really been over to that area. I was the first one to hunt that area.
Okay.
I was like because we were riding up the fence, and I said, man, that was good up through there. You know, I walk up. We walked up through there during the day, and I said, yeah, next time we come down here, I'm gonna hunt there, whether it was morning or night.
Okay.
You know, so
it was more a last minute thing.
Exactly.
Okay. Damn you and your instincts. See where it got you. I'm just kidding. No. Those are all just little things. God, that's a hell of a story. I mean, but it's not. The thing is, it's dramatic. But then again, it's not, because you're not like, it was snarling and the drool was hanging off its teeth and all that, you know. But it's still absolutely terrifying. And I could see where you would wake up probably every once in a while going, oh my God, I can hear it howling, and I just
I guess the most common dream I have about it is the footsteps. And I don't know why that sticks into my head. I'll have this dream occasionally where I can't see anything but pitch black, but I hear footsteps.
Now, is that because that you, at that point, maybe you knew, but you didn't want it to come to the forefront that you knew it wasn't a person?
Right. And, you know how you can hear, and I hate to sound sexist, but if you hear a woman walk in high heels, it's clack, 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 clack. This wasn't a
yeah.
This was methodical steps. It was because my steps were methodical, because I'm trying to be quiet coming out. You don't, you leave an area like you went in. It's like you go camping. You pick your trash up, you take it. You want to leave it as much like you left it as you can. In hunting, if you leave an area like you left it, you're not disturbing the wildlife. A deer knows if you've been there, and if you cause a ruckus, they're going to leave from there, and they're not going to be back for days.
And guess what you are? You're intelligent, you're trained, and you're tactical. And you're saying that this thing was all of those things as well. So
exactly.
Maybe that's what sticks with you, huh?
Yeah, the footsteps just, and I've had the dream where I hear the sound, and if I ever hear a clip that sounds like that or the growl, I will definitely email it to you.
If you've searched this whole time, because I'm sure you've heard some of my guests and other guests on other podcasts go, I searched, and it was kind of like a baboon and a lion, or a lion and a whatever, and there's like this kind of mix. But you haven't found that yet.
No, this. If I had to put a label on it was.
I mean, if you could. No. I was sorry. It was ill-timed. That please do. If you do find a recording of that, please do send it to me. Yeah, no, I wasn't trying to pressure you, because you already said, like, I can't really place that. But I think for the most part, if I could go off of my limited experience, and I'm no expert, and no one should call themselves an expert, by the way. For the most part, I think people hear a Bigfoot more than they might hear what we would call a dog man. So, besides maybe a growl or, something like that. But the whole footsteps and I don't know. That to me, I was trying to read your emails and I'm like, okay, I see what he's getting at, but then I don't see what he's getting at. Because you're being very honest. You were like, I don't have any labels for any of this stuff really quite per se. Right? So, I don't know. Yeah, if you do come across any sounds that you're like, oh my good God, that was the closest I could find, please send it to me.
The growl was just so gravelly and deep, and I mean, it was almost you would thought that you were doing it yourself. You could feel it in your chest, and I don't know how close it was to me.
That's a good description. Almost like you were doing it yourself. That's a really good description. How long did it last?
Second and a half. It was long enough. It started, and I could hear the growl when it started. I could hear like a it had to build a speed up to its tune and then leave.
Taper back down.
And it was gone.
Ugh.
And I was like, what the F is that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, guy. Yeah, it's showdown.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the... I was like...
You're like, Dwight, get your ass over here now.
Dwight, come on, let's go.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
I wonder, if Dwight was in your shoes, well, it's all speculation, of course, and everything is set out how it's supposed to go or whatever, if you believe that kind of thing. But I just wonder if it was flip-flopped, or, if you would have taken the second shot, or the second round of shots, I should say, versus Dwight, it's just...
But that's the thing. Our skills are, at that time, were so... Dwight and I, we're the guy, we're gonna... I'll put this Coke can on this fence post and we'll just ride until we say stop, and who can judge the dope on their scope the best and make the shot. You got 3 rounds to hit it. It may be 700 yards. It may be, we've shot. Have you ever heard of the milk jug challenge?
No.
All right, so milk jug, you got so much yardage. Well, very few people actually do it within 5 shots at 1,000 yards. And we've done that so many times. When that first came on, oh yeah, man, that'll be fun. And I've seen Dwight do it on the first round, and I've done it on the first
1,000 yards.
1,000 yards. Our skills are so...
Yeah. Wow.
But you're talking about 2 guys who spent every day after work making their bullets, every Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, at the gun range, either making preparations or shooting. And I've got a gun range in my backyard.
See, but it's not just even the gun skills, which are markable and remarkable, by the way, but it's just the decision making. If it had been Dwight, maybe he would have maybe backed up too quick, or he would have moved towards the sounds and said, well, F you, whoever, and he would have assumed it was a person, or maybe you wouldn't have gotten there as quickly if you were driving, whatever the circumstances. It's just, it seems like there's so many little things that could have changed the outcome.
And you hit the nail on the head about Dwight, though. He has no, he's never in law enforcement. He has none of that training.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to an aggressive action, he would have been like, okay, yeah. But see, he's such an imposing guy. 6'3", 6'4", 220, 230 pounds.
Maybe it would have canceled itself out.
he's nothing but a rock.
Yeah.
And he would have. He'd have marched right up to him, or
whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And what happened, and whatever happened.
It just makes you wonder.
But that's him.
If it was flip flopped. But these are all. There's 1,000 or 1,000,000 different permutations of how it could have gone down.
Dwight, we were in South. I'll give you one example. This is Dwight. We were in South Georgia, and we were fishing. And we were night fishing for flathead catfish, and we hear this groaning sound. It's alligators making their call.
Mm.
There was a little bit of alcohol involved, but the White's the guy that goes out there with a Bowie knife and comes back with a 5-foot-long alligator.
Yeah.
That's
so amazing.
We cooked alligator tail on the boat that night.
God bless Dwight. Oh my goodness. Well, both of you though, I don't know. I really feel like that was just the way it was supposed to go that night, because it seems like that thing was very aggressive. So you guys both handled business the way you were supposed to get out of the situation.
And if Dwight ever hears this, I don't know. He'll know. If he'll listen to 30 minutes of this, he'll know it's me, and he may call. He might contact you. And he'll tell you the exact same thing I did.
Yeah, you said there was a lot of other details to that story, and there sure were.
Yeah.
And you're right there, basically, in the backyard of the whole thing. So, my goodness.
In that Flint River corridor, you have to think most of that is there's another wildlife management area between the two but it's more of a recreation area. But part of that recreational area, the only way to get to it is by water or climbing on the rock faces.
Oh.
I mean, it's so remote. There's no houses. There's a few cabins on the river, but there's nothing behind them. There's on either side. There's nothing behind them, and it's so easy to go by them. So if there is something that's traveling the river, just say it was involved in that other occurrence to the north. That, I mean, it's so easy. It or one of its compadres could make its way. I mean, there's nothing stopping it.
I really think that Georgia is an unspoken, untapped resource for cryptids of this sort, and maybe some really possibly big creatures that could be wandering around. There's cover, there's food, there's water. That's it. That's all they need.
I know I sound like a bubba. I've got the classic Southern accent. I'm proud of it. I mean, I'm educated. I have 2 college degrees, but a lot of people are like, we get a bad rap. You see them on the news. It's like the snowstorm. Atlanta don't know how to drive in an ice storm. Well, we ain't in Minnesota, Jack.
That's right. That's
right.
No, that's bullshit with the whole we have an accent, so you're not educated. That's bullshit. So
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, let's be frank about that. No, well, please keep in touch, and I mean, maybe Dwight does contact me or you. That would be amazing. And of course, if he does, I will let you know. And I mean, if you come across any other information or anything, just you have my contact info, so please get a hold of me.
I so wanted. I tried and tried. I've got a number for him it's not his number, but it's one of his children's number, and but I don't know how often they see. I was able to leave a message because they don't know my number.
Right.
Anymore.
Right.
I was so hoping he'd say, "Yeah, man, I'll do a 3-way call with you," and because he's a little more animated than I am, I believe. But it would have. I mean, there's nothing that would have faltered. He may have reminded me of something I may be missed, or I'm just like I may be pushed back, but I can't think of anything. But it would have. He'd have been right there with me on everything. He was there,
Regardless,
he was there for the last part, anyways.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I think that the terrifying part you kind of already had gotten through by yourself, unfortunately. But at least I guess he was there as the backup. But yeah, that would be amazing if he did. But if he didn't, I still thank you for coming forward and sharing your encounters.
Yeah, thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we'll be in touch. And thanks for staying up late out there. I know it's late where you are there in Georgia with your lovely family. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Shannon. Have a good evening.
All right, you too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.